What if everything you thought you knew about Latino voters, foreign policy, and U.S. politics was suddenly turned on its head in a single decision? Well, President Donald J. Trump, the United States military, and the Republican Party, backed by Pentagon forces and the intelligence assets, carried out a controversial military operation in Venezuela that resulted in the capture of President Nicolas Maduro and his wife and their transfer to U.S. custody to face drug trafficking charges. Now, in the wake of this unprecedented action, codenamed Operation Resolute Resolve, the Democratic Party and the Democratic National Committee, they have been thrown into chaos, scrambling to respond while polls show sharp swings in public opinion. And of course, in Florida, in Texas, and across some very key regions of the country, millions of Latino voters, the very voters that Democrats once counted as a reliable bloc, they're breaking ranks in ways political analysts say that they've never seen before. Now, that revolt is already reshaping the 2026 electoral map, and it's forcing party strategists to confront a reality that they've never even anticipated. So the question now is this: did this bold foreign policy move not just remove a dictator, but also shatter the Democratic coalition with Latino voters forever? Well, I want to go ahead and unpack exactly what's happening, why this is happening, and more importantly, how this moment could echo for decades. Be sure to click the like button and subscribe to the channel. It is totally free and I totally appreciate you. So here's where this story actually begins, with Donald J. Trump and a Venezuela decision that the Democratic Party never seriously modeled for. Not because they didn't know who Nicolas Maduro was, but because they underestimated who was actually watching. Now, for Latino exile communities, Maduro is not a headline. He's a memory. He's the reason families fled to begin with. He's the reason why savings were wiped out, businesses seized, and relatives disappeared. So when Trump made a decisive Venezuela move, framed as accountability, pressure, and consequences, it wasn't received as symbolic politics. It was received as credibility. Now, that distinction matters. This wasn't about regime change theory or think tank language. This was about trust. Trust that someone in power finally understood what socialism looks like after the slogans are gone. Now, Democrats assume that Latino voters would process this through media framing and activist narratives and partisan cues. That assumption was the mistake, because for millions of Venezuelan American, Cuban American, and Nicaraguan American voters, Trump's move landed as something rare in modern politics: alignment between words and action. Basically, he did what he said he's going to do. And once that happens, coalitions, they don't just wobble, they crack. And that sets the stakes. This is not really about Venezuela, to be honest with you. This is more about whether trust, once regained, can be taken back. Now, here's the part most people are completely missing. Latino voters didn't shift because of a talking point. They reacted because of lived experience. Venezuelan American, Cuban American, and even Nicaraguan American communities, they have something that most political commentators don't: first-hand exposure to what authoritarian socialism actually produces. This is why the reaction to President Trump's Venezuela move was both emotional and rational. It was emotional because it validated years of warnings that were dismissed as exaggeration. It was rational because it confirmed something even more important: that someone in Washington was willing to act and not just posture. Meanwhile, large parts of the media ecosystem framed this story abstractly. Discussions about norms, process, optics. But for exile communities, the calculation was simple: who takes the threat seriously and who keeps on explaining it away? This is where the disconnect widened. Latino voters, they didn't need CNN to interpret Maduro for them. They already knew who this guy was. They didn't need academic debates about socialism. They already lived the outcome. And when the Democratic Party hesitated, hedged, or even appeared conflicted, the result, this wasn't nuance. This was clarity. Clarity that one side just didn't get. That's why this response wasn't impulsive. It was informed. And once voters connect policy to personal history, spin stops working. So this is where the narrative cracked in public, and people felt it immediately. When Ana Navarro went on The View and acknowledged the reality of what happened with Nicolas Maduro, this landed like a thunderclap. Not because she praised Donald J. Trump, she didn't do that, but because she validated the core truth that Latino voters already knew. That moment mattered because it punctured the illusion of consensus. Viewers weren't watching a conversion, they were watching an admission that Maduro is a tyrant, an admission that accountability matters, an admission that this wasn't some abstract chess move, but a reckoning long overdue. Now, for Latino audiences, that acknowledgement, it literally felt like recognition. Now, for Democrats, it felt like exposure. If even a habitual Trump critic, which Ana Navarro clearly is, could not deny the moral clarity of the move, then the usual spin suddenly sounded hollow. Now, this wasn't a victory lap. It was a reality check, broadcast live. And it told viewers something deeper. When facts get undeniable, even the loudest opposition has to take a pause. And that pause is powerful because once the curtain slips, trust shifts fast. And moments like this are exactly why knowing the truth early matters. And one of our viewers told me, if I had only known, I could have kept that money. But he didn't know because no one ever explained his Medicare plan to him in plain English. And that one mistake right there cost him $650. No scam, no fraud, just not knowing the right questions to ask. That's why I partner with Chapter. Chapter makes sure that your Medicare coverage doesn't punish you for missing something that you were never told about in the first place. They walk you through what's covered, what's not, and where people quietly overpay year after year. Now, most people I talk to, they're already calling the phone number at the bottom of your screen right there, 909-563-8279, or they're clicking the link in the description down below this video right there at askchapter.org/Ron, just to make sure that they're not leaving money on the table. All right, now let's get back to the story, guys, because this is where the numbers start to add up fast. Then the data hit, and it changed everything. Before the Maduro action, polling showed skepticism and hesitation, but afterward, support surged. Even CNN reported a sharp reversal. Americans increasingly viewed the Venezuela move as successful, decisive, and justified. That's not partisan cheerleading. That is measurable momentum. Support for holding Nicolas Maduro accountable in U.S. courts climbed into majority territory. Opposition shrank, and here's the key. Republicans unified while Democrats split, cleanly, predictably, publicly. This is how realignments start, not with slogans, but with the numbers that refuse to cooperate with narratives. Now, the Republican Party consolidated support around action. The Democratic Party, on the other hand, well, they fractured between activists, donors, and voters. And Latino voters noticed that because polling isn't just data, it's social proof. It tells people that they're not alone. It confirms the instinct. And when instinct aligns with evidence, decisions harden. That's why this wasn't a blip. This was a pivot point, the kind campaigns fear, because once numbers move like this, messaging can't pull them back. Now, this is where it didn't just go wrong, it backfired. So as the fallout from the Maduro arrest spread, the Democratic National Committee and aligned groups rushed out fundraising messages expressing outrage over the action. Now, I want you to think about that just for a moment, okay? Just weeks after the No Kings protests and endless rhetoric about authoritarianism, Democrats found themselves sounding like they were defending or at least minimizing the removal of a literal dictator. Latino voters didn't need anyone to explain the contradiction. They saw it instantly. On the one hand, Democrats lecture about democracy, norms, and human rights. But on the other hand, when Nicolas Maduro is finally held accountable, the response is outrage, not relief. Now that gap right there, that wasn't subtle. It was glaringly obvious. This is where it gets worse because once voters perceive hypocrisy, every prior message gets reinterpreted. It's not just about Venezuela anymore. It becomes about credibility across the board. Immigration, socialism, foreign policy, even basic moral clarity. Now, for many Latino voters, especially those who follow the legal immigration process, this felt like a line being crossed. Not misunderstood, crossed. And when a party steps on the rake like this, the snapback hurts. And it echoes. Now, for a lot of Latino voters, this was not theoretical. It was personal. These are families who waited years to immigrate legally, who paid fees, followed rules, stayed in lines, and built lives from scratch. They watched as the previous administration eased pressures on Nicolas Maduro, relaxed sanctions, and granted oil licenses that propped up his regime. And now, after accountability finally arrives, they're told the real problem is how it happened. Now, that disconnect landed as betrayal, not because Democrats disagree with Donald J. Trump, but because they appeared more upset about the dictator's removal than the damage he caused. Now, for voters who fled socialism, that's not nuance. That is a warning sign. This is why the reaction was so intense. It wasn't anger alone. It was recognition. Recognition that the party that they once trusted no longer speaks their language or even shares their priorities for that matter. That's exactly why this matters. Because once betrayal enters the equation, voters don't just drift away. They leave with intention. And intention is hard to reverse. Now, if you want to understand what's coming next nationally, you have to look at Florida because Florida showed it first. Now, in Doral, often called Doralzuela by locals because of its heavy Venezuelan population, Donald J. Trump didn't just win. He won decisively, a double-digit margin in a community that understands Maduro better than any think tank ever could. That wasn't a fluke, that was alignment. Then look at Miami-Dade County. Just 8 years earlier, Democrats dominated by massive margins. Now, a dramatic swing toward Trump that stunned analysts. Now, that kind of movement doesn't happen because of turnout quirks or campaign ads. It happens when voters fundamentally reassess who they trust. Florida was not an outlier. It was a preview, a test case showing what happens when foreign policy, immigration credibility, and cultural memory collide. Democrats brushed it off as Florida just being Florida. That was the mistake they made, because when Florida moves like this, it's not drifting, it's signaling. And the rest of the country should have been paying attention. Then came Starr County, and this is when denial stopped working. So Starr County is nearly 98% Latino. It voted Democrat in every presidential election for roughly about 100 years, generation after generation. Now, that kind of loyalty is not fragile until it is. In 2024, it flipped. Not narrowly, not ambiguously. It flipped because immigration chaos, socialist apologetics, and credibility failures finally converged. Now, for voters who are living on the border, these aren't abstract debates, they're daily reality. And when Donald J. Trump took a hard line on Venezuela and Maduro, that message resonated far beyond South America. Starr County wasn't reacting to one policy. It was responding to a pattern where Democrats talked compassion but delivered disorder, and where Republicans, for the first time in decades, sounded grounded in reality. Now, this wasn't a swing county wobbling back and forth. This was a century-long alignment snapping. And once the maps break like that, they don't snap back easily. They redraw the battlefield. Now, here's a mistake that a lot of analysts just keep on making. They're treating this like a normal electoral swing, like something that corrects itself in the next cycle. That's not what this is. Latino voters who broke ranks over Venezuela, Maduro, and democratic hypocrisy, they didn't do it casually. They did it after years, decades of watching what socialism looks like when it's fully implemented. Now, that kind of memory doesn't fade between election cycles. It hardens. Now, this is not activist memory where yesterday's outrage gets replaced by tomorrow's hashtag. This is immigrant memory, guys. It gets passed down in families. It's reinforced by experience. And once that memory locks onto a party as unreliable or unserious about authoritarian threats, it doesn't reset because of a new slogan. This is why this feels different. There's no nostalgia that's pulling these voters back. There's no lesser of two evils logic. What replaced it is something that's way more durable: clarity. We're talking about clarity about who recognized the danger, clarity about who acted, clarity about who tried to spin it afterward. This isn't drift, guys. It's departure. And when voters leave with clarity instead of confusion, they don't come back quietly. Now, if we put it all together, and the picture gets uncomfortable real fast for Democrats, working class voters who want order and economic stability, Latino voters who demand moral clarity on socialism and authoritarianism, Gen Z men increasingly rejecting ideological and policing in favor of strength and results, what ties these groups together is not personality or politics, it's credibility. That's where Donald Trump's foreign policy, especially Venezuela, became the glue. Now, this wasn't about chest thumping. This was about consequences, about proving that warnings about socialism weren't just campaign rhetoric. And once that proof landed, it unified groups Democrats assumed would always stay fragmented. Now, the hardest part for Democrats isn't losing one election. It's losing the narrative that they own certain voters by default. Because once voters realize that they have leverage, real leverage, the old coalition math stops working. So the question now is not whether Democrats can tweak their messaging. It's whether they're willing to confront why this broke in the first place. Because if they don't, this realignment doesn't end in 2026. It becomes the new baseline. And that's the part that they truly did not see coming.